Welcome back. 28 minutes before the hour. Thom Hartmann here with you. Senator Nina Turner in the studio with me. Senator, it is an honor and a pleasure to have you, to be in the same physical space with you.
The honor's all mine. I am an admirer. And to see the Thom Hartmann Library up close and personal, baby. They need to buy those books if they haven't.
Thank you. You are the former Ohio State Senator for the 25th District, currently a spokesperson for the Bernie Sanders campaign. Your Twitter handle is Nina Turner,
yes.
at Nina Turner. In fact, you and I have tweeted each other more than once.
We have. Can I just say, please, haters, don't tweet at me.
Yeah.
You know, keep your hate on your Twitter feed, and I only want the people who love me or really want to question, to...
Did you see this thing that's going on over at 4chan that Raw Story did a story about? A bunch of Trump people got together, and in fact, here's the printout, and they're trolling both. Yeah. They're pretending to be, like, half of them are pretending to be Bernie people, half of them are pretending to be Hillary people. They're going into Twitter and Facebook and trying to get Hillary and Bernie people to fight with each other.
Wow.
Right? They're literally starting fights in order to bring down, and these are all Trump people, in order to bring down basically the entire Democratic Party, and no matter who the candidate is. And I've been noticing on my Twitter feed, I get these things here, and I look at the person, and it just became a member like 3 weeks ago, right, with 16 followers.
Right, or 5.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Is this what it's come to?
Yeah, it really is. And I just blocked them now.
Politically incorrect. But let us not forget, David Brock of Correct the Record went on record to say that they're paying people to go into Twitter too. So,
but I think I think those are more the let me correct your policy position kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think the people who are using obscenities and calling names are either just like over the top zealots on either side, or they're these folks.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate
professional trolls
in the social media world, taking the yin and the yang, I guess. One of the downsides of having that, people can be totally anonymous and say just anything and just be really rotten towards other human beings. I don't like when people do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's sad. And we've seen this before in the 2004 election. We were doing this program, and we had a guy in our chat room who, anytime anybody said anything nice about John Kerry, he would rebut it in our message boards. And he was very polite. He was very friendly. He told everybody who he was. He used his real name.
He was honest about.
Yeah, he put pictures of himself up. So we let him be part of the community. He actually kind of became part of our community.
Yes.
When the election, although he was always there, always rebutting anything about John Kerry.
Right.
When the election was over, he announced to all of us that he was leaving the board because he was no longer being paid to post on our board. And that he was joining the Marine Corps and going off to Iraq. And he posted a picture of himself in his at the recruited station in his Marine. And for about 4 months, we were seeing messages from him, in Iraq. And then he just vanished. I think he got killed in Iraq.
Oh no!
But he had been a paid troll. But this guy wasn't so much a troll, but a paid advocate. So this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah, but at least there's a difference between people who hide behind the veil, who won't be honest with their mess. Compared to the gentleman that you just named, there's a difference. But you're right, this is part of the political strategy these days.
Yeah, it's amazing. Speaking of political strategy, Bernie and Hillary had agreed to a debate in California months ago. Secretary Clinton has decided not to do that, and now Donald Trump has said, okay, I'll debate you. Or maybe the flip side, Bernie said, do you want to debate me? And Donald Trump said, sure. What's the status of that? What do you know? You're inside the campaign.
There's some negotiations going on, but we know Mr. Trump, being Mr. Trump, said, well, I'll only do it if I get $10 million for a charity, and that charity has to be some woman's issue-oriented charity. I guess the the positive side of that is that it will be a woman's-oriented charity. Let's face it, Mr. Trump, in terms of his relationship, at least with women in organizations, has not been so supportive. I think he recently said that women who have abortions, who engage in the A word, should have to come under criminal charges. Meanwhile, Senator Bernie Sanders has been very supportive of women and our so-called issues, whether it's supporting Planned Parenthood or NARAL. He has a 100% rating. He believes that women should make dollar for dollar. So if, in fact, and I hope Mr. Trump does not back off, I hope he does it, because it will be a good way to expose the difference between him and Senator Sanders on issues of minimum wage, universal health care, all the things, Tom, that we know matter to the working poor, middle class
Well,
in this country.
and not just between him and Bernie.
Yeah.
It'll expose the differences between him and the entire Democratic Party
so
and most
true.
of America.
That is, and the world, dare I say. Some, but no, it's good. I think it would be good for our democracy for both candidates to do something like that.
It'll be interesting if it happens.
Yeah,
and it'll be interesting if it doesn't, I suppose.
Both, right.
So I'm curious about you. What got you into politics? What got you excited about this?
You know, I started off as a younger version of myself, really doing grassroots work in Cleveland for a councilwoman by the name of Fannie M. Lewis. May she rest in peace. But she presided over a neighborhood. You may remember the Huff riots. You know, a neighborhood that was really trying to overcome social and economic challenges. And she really got me started on the grassroots side. And when I look back on those moments, I never dreamed or knew that I would be in this political positioning that I'm in right now to really make a difference. And as Dr. Jawanza Colvin said to me, he's the pastor of Olivet Institutional Baptist Church, he said, Senator, you need to use your advantage for the advantage of the disadvantage.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really powerful. And I guess when I look back on my life, that's what I've been doing all of my life, either formally or informally. But I got in as a junior at Cleveland State University, registering people to vote with other young college students that really believed in all of our hearts, go figure, that voting was the pathway to opportunity or the way that everyday people could control or change their lives. And I still believe that, even though every day people are making it harder and harder for me to believe it.
John Kasich.
But I believe it.
Look at this story. Ohio governor poised to make voters pay to keep polls open. It's like,
I know, my governor, good God. And he is my...
And they call him a moderate?
Yeah, well, not nationally. I mean, come on, let's face it. With those other 16 people on that,
I suppose compared to Donald Trump,
it's all relative.
But that's sort of like, you know, some of the analogy.
But he's not he doesn't even define himself as a moderate. Now, the governor has done some good things. He expanded Medicaid when Republicans did not want him to do it. I was in the legislature at the time, and he had to find a special way to get that done through our controlling board. He did do that. We've had lots of police violence incidences between the police and the African-American community, whether it was young Tamir Rice or John Crawford III from the Cincinnati area. The 137 shots that happened in 2012 in the city of Cleveland were two unarmed African-Americans. They were shot at cars shot up by police officers, and they had no weapon. And the governor really took the time to listen to what I had to say about the issue, and two of my other colleagues in the legislature, both African-American women. And he did create a task force. And we were able, and still are able, for the first time in Ohio's history, creating standards for police across this great state of Ohio. So he has done some good things. Yeah. Now, in that space right there, I mean, Tom, come on. Now, the governor...
Space being you're pointing.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm pointing because you and I could. I'm sorry.
Voters having to pay if they want to vote late.
It is unacceptable in the 21st century, but Republicans are doing this all across the country, and it really started to really reveal itself with the election of President Barack Obama. In your last hour, I was listening to you, and you talked about white privilege and what that means. You defined it, that white people don't have to wake up every day and really give any thought to their race. In that voting space, a lot of that is the case as well, that disproportionately when bills like this or policies like this are out there in the atmosphere, it disproportionately hurts African Americans, our Latino brothers and sisters, poor people, disabled folks who we don't talk a lot about in this space. It's just bad all the way for democracy. So I wish my governor would not. Yeah. He should just say no.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think we need an affirmative right to vote.
We do.
Written into our Constitution.
We don't have, right. Let's talk about,
I mean, that was Bush v. Gore.
They think we have that right.
Yeah.
We do not.
Yeah, Rehnquist said there is no affirmative right to vote found in the Constitution.
Not.
And it's
there
crazy.
Is not, and there is not, and we need to do it. But a great start, even before taking on that challenge, is to have this Congress have the courage to do something about VRA. I'm just sick over it. The Voting Rights Act.
Voting Rights Act.
I'm beyond disappointed. I have to keep it PG, so I won't tell you how I'm really feeling about it.
You're talking about John Roberts gutting this?
Yes, gutting it, and the Congress not doing a daggone thing about it is totally unacceptable. We need to beat that drum every chance we get.
And this is a piece of legislation that passed 99-0.
Yes.
Or 98-0, whatever it was. I mean, there was no
overwhelming.
Yeah. And John Roberts, in his excuse for pulling it down, he said, well, everybody voted for it because they felt, what he said, intimidated?
Right, politically correct, I guess we can interpret it that way.
Yeah. which is just nonsense. Everybody voted for it because it was the right thing to do.
And it still is.
It still is. It absolutely is. And wow. So we have just a minute until the break. You're traveling around the country a lot.
I am.
Are you holding up?
I'm holding. I'm barely holding, but by the grace of God.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's hard, but the cause is right. You know, the time is now when I think about Senator Sanders and his heart-soul agreement. But also, again, even beyond this, I want your listeners and just people in this country to know that our life and what we hope and want for the future, for future generations, is bigger than just this election. And we got to be in it every single election cycle.
Yeah, and in between.
And in between.
You got, it's like find a group, find your community, your tribe, your friend. You know, the play, whether it's drinking liberally or Move to Amend or Progressive Democrats of America or whatever.
We need you on that wall,
right? Yeah,
yes,
and participate and keep these things going until until it's time to vote. Because I mean, we got 50% voter participation in this country. It's crazy.
2014 was abysmal.
Oh yeah.
I mean, more people voted during World War. I think the last time it was that low was during World War II, and it's totally unacceptable. We understand why during World War II.
Oh, but there are half as many people in this country in World War II.
Yeah. No, I know.
Senator Nina Turner with us. We'll be taking your calls too. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Back with Senator Nina Turner in just a moment. Welcome back. And let's see here. Judy, watching Free Speech TV on the Dish Network in Bailey, Colorado. You are on the air with me and Senator Nina Turner. Judy?
Hi, Judy.
Yes.
Hey.
Hi, Senator Turner. I just think you're awesome. So thank you so much for everything that you are doing and you're speaking out. And what I'm wondering about, there was a woman just last week sentenced to prison for having a stillbirth. And there are women in southern
they charged her with feticide.
Yeah.
Right. And there are women in the southern states that are going to prison for, of course, working class and poor women who are having miscarriages. And this woman last week that was sentenced had tried to get help. And the hospital turned her away and sent her home.
Yes.
And no one would help her. And there's no outrage. I understand the outrage for the LGBT community, the black community. I understand and I support them. I support all of them. But there's no outrage on what is happening to women across this country. A 13th state has just banned abortion after 13 weeks. Oklahoma has made abortion at any time, for any reason, completely against the law.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no outrage. Nobody says a word. And I'm wondering if you can maybe tell me why.
Well, thank you for that, Judy. That's heavy. Everything Judy just said, Thom, is heavy. I think the outrage is there, but whether or not we can get more people to express that outrage and to organize, that's really what is needed. But everything goes back to the ballot box. And, Judy, I am not just saying this because I am a fierce advocate for the voting space, no matter what, no matter party affiliation. But we have to get people in these elected spaces who understand that women's reproductive health care is a right. Whatever a woman decides to do, that it is her right, and that it should be, and that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare. But Roe v. Wade is the law of the land. Judy, I really do believe the answer is the ballot box, because to the extent in state legislatures, in governors' mansions, we need to elect people who are pro-women's reproductive health. And that starts with grassroots organizations making a commitment to one another that this will continue to be in their phase 5, if you will. I do believe people are outraged. Maybe we are not expressing it as much as we should, but we need to get on top of this. But the answer is what types of people are being elected, especially in state legislatures. That's where these rights are being eroded.
Yeah. Didn't you propose legislation that if men want Viagra, they have to have sexual counseling?
I did. It was my erectile dysfunction bill. I think on my tombstone they might put those kinds of words there. But it was my fight back. To Judy's point, I just thought, wow, why did I come to the State House? I came to lift people, to talk about policies, whether it was education, whether it was jobs, but I was seeing in my legislature and across the country that maybe I should take a lead from the greater sex, which my role is to regulate men's health care.
Yeah.
And so I did that bill. It was in a satirical way, but people tend to understand and think a little deeply sometimes when you put it in satire. But every fact in my bill was true. And I wanted men to, if they wanted the pill, there's some dangers to those pills, but I wanted to look out for their health, Tom. I did.
We're all concerned.
Show them some love.
We're all concerned about those poor men.
Poor
Those
men.
Poor men.
Yes.
Senator Nina Turner with us. We'll be back in just a moment. It's 10 minutes before the hour. Welcome back. Thom Hartmann here with you. And in the studio with me is Senator Nina Turner, at Nina Turner, if you want to tweet her and say hi. And
Tweet love.
There you go. So tweet some love.
We can debate, but don't be vicious with the debate.
Yeah, tweet some love to Senator
some
Turner.
love.
Let's take some phone calls here. Marge in Espanola, New Mexico. Marge, you're on the air with Senator Turner.
Hi, Marge.
Good morning, Senator Turner. I love you and your humor. I just love it.
Love you back, darling.
Senator, I have a request of you. I'm in the process of becoming a Bernie delegate. I love him dearly.
Awesome.
And his beautiful campaign. I have an expression for hemp. I call it God's gentle diplomat. Hemp can go so far in terms of replacing fossil fuels in so many ways. Plastics, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, fuels. In fact, as a supercapacitor in electric vehicles to replace fuels and electric vehicle, gasoline vehicles. Would you please introduce that to Sanders and ask him to talk more about the role that hemp can play in terms of shifting us off of fossil fuels, and also asking this question, two questions. How much of the fossil fuel dollar can hemp replace, and how many wars can hemp end?
Okay. Marge, thanks for the call.
Wow.
For what it's worth, Bernie, for 11 years, every Friday, spent an hour, at the first hour of our show, every Friday, he would just take calls from listeners, unscreened, other than just filtering out the drunks. Yeah. And he has talked about industrial hemp. This question has come up a number of times, and I know he's a supporter of it.
Yeah.
It's one of the most efficient converters of sunlight into cellulose. It's more efficient than trees. So it's a good one.
Thank you, Marge.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Surfer John in Santa Cruz, California. You have a question for Senator Turner?
Yeah, I have an interesting question. I'm sorry, but this might be hard to wrap your head around. But my thing is, I feel like I don't think it was a coincidence that when I was young that anarchy was really popular in California during the Ronald Reagan movement. And I just feel like sometimes young people are influenced in ways that they don't understand. And I was just wondering if maybe you think that inside of socialism, you might be able to actually erase racial animus and replace it with movement politics. Because the way I see it is if people are all on board and thinking together as a group, they become, almost a group as a racial group does inside of a political situation, right? So they gain from each other, and they feel connected in that same way. And I was just wondering if you think that, because for me, I really see that if we don't have some form of social democracy, we will always have some form of racism, because it seems to me that need for a connected community is there. So I just would like to ask you if you think that it's possible for a social democracy to evolve outside of
So
racial animus.
can we evolve beyond racism, I guess is your question, right, John?
You have to have a replacer.
Yeah.
You never get to...
I got it. Let's let Senator Turner talk.
That's profound what Surfer John is talking about. I think he's on to something. Whether or not we as human beings can totally eradicate racism in the United States of America and by extension the world, whether we can actually do it does not preclude us from trying. And if there is a mechanism to do that, I think Surfer John is on to something in that way.
And we've come a long way.
Yeah.
What, if you don't mind my asking personal questions here?
Sure.
What's it been like being an African-American woman in the political world, which up until relatively recently, I mean, up until your and my lifetime, was principally a white male world?
Yeah, damn hard. I don't know if I can say the word, but I just said
you can. That's fine.
Damn. It's been hard, gut-wrenching at times, you know, and I think about women like Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, who defied the system in 1972 by daring to run for president of the United States of America. And it wasn't only white folks within the democratic structure that were against her. It was black men also. You know, the structure itself was trying to hold her back from doing something like that. Or sheroes like Fannie Lou Hamer. You know, she was not a politician, but she was a sharecropper that used her cachet, if you will, what little she had. She created that kind of synergy to say, oh, yeah, I'm going to register to vote. I'm going to take some folks with me. She challenged the Democratic Party in Mississippi in ways that it had never been challenged. She put something on the line. You know, I often say that titles are good, and titles are good. I'm not minimizing that because it gets you in places. It gets your phone calls returned, but it's what you do with that title when you get there. So titles are good, but purpose is better. And we need more people committed to living their purpose. But it's been hard. I mean, I've been told to shut up in committee at times by a white chairman of a committee. I've been Aunt Jemima'd by a black newspaper, though. You know, so this whole intra battle within the African American community, which is also very gender focused.
Back in 2008, I had started out, as pretty much everybody else had, saying Hillary Clinton. You know, and I had on this program. And I turned and ultimately supported Barack Obama. But the reason I had an African-American vice chair of one of the big 3 or 4 Democratic communities in California on the program, he was African-American, elected politician, saying, don't vote for Barack Obama in the primary because his middle name is Hussein, he's African-American, he'll never get elected, we can't throw this election away. And that was the prevailing wisdom for a while until he started seriously winning.
Right, till Iowa.
Like,
You know, the black community say, oh, my God, white people will vote for him. You know, I was with the president or Senator Obama from the very beginning, the whole possibility and everything that he stood for. I mean, that was really the first election that I participated in where my whole heart, body, and mind were there, not just what was politically expedient at the time. But you're absolutely right. There's a lot of self-hate, and it goes back to how we are socialized in this country, whether we're black, white, Hispanic, Native American, or Asian, right?
Or self-doubt.
It's hate and doubt, but we are already programmed. You just said most of the people who have been able to navigate in a very powerful and strong and consistent way have been white males. And so when that is always the model, you know, you have to deconstruct your construction.
Right.
All of us do.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
Senator Nina Turner, one of the great minds of our time. And one of the, you're such a rock star. Thanks so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Really appreciate it. We'll be back.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.